Requesting all of you to kindly settle down and please wear your headsets. Lovely. So you guys can hear me now? You can hear me? Yeah? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Whole you've been absorbing. No, I have to wear headsets. I too had a similar shock in the morning, but yeah, it is what it is. So I sincerely hope you've been absorbing your senses in the riveting expo that we've organized outside. And on my right, we also had Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman and the governor of RBI addressing all the fintech members who had come in the audience. Now it's time to address a very important, relevant, and sometimes a paradoxical questions for businesses. And that question is essentially to dwell on the aspect whether as a fintech company you rely your own platform or you outsource it and get it externally and still maneuver the challenges of security issue. So this panel discussion will dwell on the aspects and facets of channeling own platform versus third-party platforms for growth strategy. And leading this conversation, an entire panel discussion will be our moderator, Mr. Vadivelan S, CTO, BPS. Can we give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our moderator? And joining our moderator on stage will be our esteemed and revered list of speakers, beginning with Ms. Priya Nadkarni, National Head Marketing at Tata Capital. We have with us Mr. Sahil, Kini, co-founder and CEO, Setu. Ms. Anuradha Agarwal, Director, User Growth, Amazon. Shri, Lokesh, Kumar, Chandra, General Manager, Best, and Mr. Narendra Madhav, Jillella, EVP, Customer Service and Operations at ICICI Prudential. So without further ado, let me give the stage to our moderators and panel members.
Check. Check. Everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Check.
Check.
Good evening, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for setting this up. Good evening, everyone. I know the last session of the day, that too after a grand launch. But yeah, we'll make this discussion as interesting as possible. Very warm welcome again to all the panel members. Again, as you would have noticed, right, we have a very diversified set of panel members here. Just to put things into context, right? So all of them are from the BBPS ecosystem. So various players from the BBPS ecosystem, billers side and customer side and whatnot, right? So all sides of diversified set of panelists we have. Yeah. So moving to the context, right? So channeling own platform versus third party, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to have the discussion with BBPS ecosystem as the base and discuss on how own platform versus third party is kind of helping us, right? So that's how we're going to have the discussion, and from which hopefully you'll be able to gain a lot of good messages. Yeah. With that said, again, when we say own platform versus third party platform, right? What do we really mean? Is it like just a software that we create versus we outsource to somebody? Or is it like a particular business operation itself, probably it's done by somebody else versus the business they themselves are doing, right? So that's really the delineation between these two, yeah? So we are going to discuss among all on these topics. and we will take it forward, right? So with that said, maybe I'll start off. Probably we'll first start off with a quick discussion on what is your experience with BBPS ecosystem. Maybe we'll go around the table and then get into the real topic of third-party versus own. Yeah. Maybe if I may request you please to start on how is your journey, how long you have been with BBPS ecosystem, and what is your experience so far?
Sure, thanks. Thanks, Vadi. So at Tata Capital, we started our BBPS journey just ahead of COVID. And, nobody imagined how BBPS would really enable payments for us during lockdowns. As you would know, across lending ecosystems, collections is a very, very, very important activity. So essentially, when we kind of onboarded BPPS, we straight fell into the pandemic, and the value of, what the value that BBPS offers is something that I think we have experienced the most, right? So while, today our digital payments are almost equal to the physical payments, and BBPS has a huge role to play. So not only did it help us enable payment modes for customers, but in terms of customer convenience, I think it just took the experience several notches up. So the experience has been absolutely wonderful. The speed to market has been phenomenal. So it's been a very, very interesting experience right from the start.
Thank you. I think the speed to market is the key, right? So, yes, BBPS, we are trying to make the interoperability and make things easier and speeder to go to market. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Maybe if I may go to Lokesh ji, if you may want to share on from the best, how does it work? Yeah.
Yeah. So BST or BEST is a known name, but for the convenience of who are present here, we are taking care of the basically electric supply in the island city of Mumbai up to Mahim and Chembur. And we are also responsible for the city public bus transport system. We started our own billing platform. In fact, we have our own website and mobile app. But for the last 5 years, we have associated with the BBPS. And it has been a very good experience. In fact, our cost of, as far as CapEx and OpEx is concerned, has gone down. And we also have advantages in the form of our billing settlement mechanism has improved. We have reduced cost of transaction. At the same time, the platform being user-friendly and secure, number of consumers are interested in making payments through this platform. And the most important thing is like the drop transaction number, which is very, very irritant for the consumers who are making the online payments, has gone substantially down. So overall experience is very good, and we have accelerated our online payments. As of now, we have around 71% of payments in digital form, out of which BBPS is the major stakeholder. In fact, 56% is belonging to BBPS.
Right.
And during the last 1 year, it has gone up by 38%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for sharing again. 5 years into the ecosystem, it's really a longer time, and glad to hear what you're experiencing in the BBPS system. Yeah. Thank you, Naresh. Maybe if I may move to Naresh, if you can share. Maybe you are one of the late or recent entrants into the system, so you may want to share your experience, please.
Right. Thanks, Vadi. While late to the ecosystem, we've been fairly digitally capable for a while now. Our BBPS journey started with 2019 December, but even much before that, ICICI Prudential has always focused on customer convenience, and that meant if we had to tie up with platform players one-on-one, we went ahead and did that, right? And in that scenario, given that milieu, it was perhaps the right thing to do. But compared to the convenience of us being able to plug in one-on-one into the BBPS ecosystem and just leverage all the platform partners that connect with BBPS, the convenience is a no-brainer for us as well, right? And it was the right thing for us to do once we had that as an option.
Sure, Naresh. Of course, convenience is a key, right? So if BBPS is able to give that, why not? Thank you. Now we heard from the biller side of things. Now moving on to the customer side. Maybe you may want to share your experiences, Anuji.
Sure. Thanks, buddy, and thanks for having me here. For Amazon Pay, the most important vision we have is of simplifying people's lives, fulfilling their aspirations, and meeting their payment needs everywhere, all over India. And we have three mantras that we believe. Like we have to be trusted, we have to be convenient, and we have to be rewarding. And I think the association with BBPS, which started about 4.5 years ago, has helped us on all three of our pillars. The customer who comes to us now, I mean, when we started, we had only one offering, which was mobile recharges, and now we cover a variety of services and a variety of billers, not just in one geography, but across the country. We have regional presence. The selection that you are allowing us to offer to our customers is one of the biggest benefits that we can offer to our customers, right? Which is they can come to our platform and make almost all of their bill payments in one location. And that helps us offer a really convenient platform, a very trusted platform where they know that that their payments will not fail, where they know that they will find the relevant biller. Also some very good innovations in terms of integrations with the billers, which allow us to fetch bills and allow us to offer conveniences to customers which normally they cannot find on on one platform. So for Amazon Pay, this relationship has been really rewarding. So for us, all three of the pillars you've helped us achieve, and we hope that this will continue and that we will be able to grow that selection and that convenience for our customers a lot more.
Sure. I think the three mantras that you said, it need not be just for Amazon. Maybe it should be for the ecosystem. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Maybe to Sahil, again, from a different dimension, from a technical service provider perspective, again, what is your association with ecosystem, and do you want to quickly
Thanks
give
for
some
having
words?
us, buddy.
Sure.
And thank you especially to all of you for joining us at nearly 7 p.m. I know there are sundowners and other networking events for all of you to attend, so thank you for your attention. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Setu. We build all kinds of financial infrastructure across bill payments, across data and data verification, across account aggregator and lending and a bunch of other things. But we began with bill payments. We began with bill payments early in late 2018. So we've been a part of this ecosystem for about 4 years now. Specifically when BBPS actually expanded beyond the traditional categories of electricity, water, DTH, gas, and broadband, and opened up loan payments, for example. Like a colleague from Tata Capital just mentioned, my co-panelist. We've actually been at the forefront of building tech stacks for licensed BOUs and COUs. So we operate as a technology service provider, but we build the engine for all these licensed entities of BOUs and COUs. So I humor myself by saying that we are like the Rolls-Royce of Pratt & Whitney for Boeing and Airbus, right? We build the engines. And so the idea being that we've learned a lot in that process. In fact, I think we have about 50% market share in the lending category. In schools, we've helped onboard like 18,000 schools. So enabling these banks and entities to operate at a much higher scale and serve their customers much more effectively is what we've been doing. I also spend a lot of time now, and me and my team specifically spends a lot of time obsessing on how to make the entire bill payment infra better, so that my co-panelists from Amazon can can actually experience, their customers get better response times, better fetch ratios. So if you're all artists, I sell turpentine. And try to make sure that whatever paint you get and turpentine you get is high quality. And working directly with, of course, the BBPS team to figure out what kind of innovations can we do on fetching, on auto pay, on the future of the ecosystem, and hopefully expanding into even more categories, because I think, at 70, 80 million bills, we're not even at like 10% of the scale. I think we easily have another 10, 20x to go from here. And building a scalable stack is something that is going to be absolutely necessary, along, of course, with all the efforts of everybody else in the ecosystem. So, thank you.
Thanks, Sahil. 2 points just wanted to call out. Definitely, the service providers are the engine for the ecosystem. So I think that's what you are doing, and a lot of other TSPs also doing, and that'll enable the ecosystem to run even more faster. And the other point I wanted to call out is, as you rightly said, we are not even 10%, right? There are a lot more we can do as an ecosystem to the country. So we'll keep marching towards that. With that, thank you. So this is probably the first section we just wanted to talk about in general, about the ecosystem. Now, diving deep into the topic that we have, right? Channeling own platform versus third-party platforms. If I may start with Lokesh ji, how was your experience pre-BBPS versus post-BBPS era, if I may ask, right? And especially own platform versus third-party platform, how did it really go for you, right? If you may just explain about that, that would be helpful.
Surely. So, post pre-BBPS era, in fact, we have, as I mentioned, our own collection centers. That is across the Mumbai city, some 55 cash collection centers we are having. We are collecting the cash and the checks. And we also have online payment platform in the form of our website as well as our mobile app. But as I mentioned earlier, in fact, the ease of making payment, which we have with the BBPS platform, was not there, and the digital penetration was quite low. So last few years we were working very hard to improve our digital payments, and now, as I mentioned, in the last 1 year, we have gone from 58% to 71%. And basically the emphasis was on making these convenient payment methods available, so that more and more our consumers, we have 10.5 lakh consumers in the Mumbai city. So like Mumbai, everybody has got mobile phone, everybody has got access to internet. So why this percentage is so low? We worked for last 1 year, and we tried to use the BBPS potential to the fullest. In fact, we had some 42 banks which are BBPS enabled. We converted them as our bill collection centers. We also started with the kiosks. Then these POS machines we introduced at our cash collection center. And then we also started using the mobile vans. So we are also now making these mobile vans not only accepting the payment for our electricity bills, but at the same time the customer can pay other bills also. So that instead of going to number of centers or number of offices, in one place he can make all the payments. So this convenience we are providing, and as a result, in fact, our penetration has gone up. And we are also looking at other options where, like, another issue which we are finding difficult to handle was, like, from the cash collection centers, the cash handling cost was quite high for us. So how to convert this physical cash into the digital money, that was one of our concerns, because we find that in the slums or the areas where, like, the people who are staying, they find whatever the provisions you make for the online payment, they still believe in coming to the collection center and make physical payments, because they really need that paper on which they can get the seal, which can be a proof for their staying in that particular place for a number of years. So to take care of that, and at the same time converting this physical money to the digital money, we found that BBPS platform is quite useful. And the same center, now 5 centers are being operated with the BBPS platform. And results are very encouraging. And very soon we are going to convert all our cash collection centers with the BBPS enabled centers. So in a different way, we are trying to increase our digital penetration. And I'm sure that by end of this financial year, we'll be have at least 85% of digital payments.
Sure, sure. So basically, the bill collection centers that you were having, it's earlier it was owned by you, and whereas now you're leveraging what is offered in the BBPS ecosystem, which is from a third party, right? That's what you're trying to call out, and uh, glad that the digital transactions also we are able to increase through this. Uh, Thanks for sharing that, Lokesh ji. Now, while we talked about digital, right? Again, the physical is also here to stay, right? So maybe for some more years, I don't know how long. Um, so maybe to Priya, you, um, how do you compare having own physical challenge collection centers versus leveraging third-party solutions, right? So what do you think, or how helpful was BBB's ecosystem for leveraging this third-party collection centers for you?
Thanks, Adi. Um, the second part is the cost of setting up that infrastructure, of being able to establish that whole mechanism. BBPS has helped us, bring that down because we are leveraging a network, and of course the scalability is something that cannot be compared with own platforms. Um, the third important point I'd like to drive is the speed to market. How soon we can actually put out, or rather make a location live, or make a region live. How soon we can really expand is also a function of you know being able to use a third party platform. So I think while the physical scheme of things will continue for a while, clearly we see very very high adoption on digital payments, even in deeper markets, hinterlands. And I think BBPS has helped us scale, and be more confident about going to newer markets in a far more seamless manner.
Right, right. Thank you again. Good points on tier 3, tier 4 cities. And of course, the infrastructure is being set in the ecosystem, which we are trying to leverage, and it is really helping to scale things up or expand things quickly, right? So, very, very valid points. Again, I think you're also leaning towards leveraging more on third party than building your own system. I hear you. Thank you for that, Priya. Uh, Moving on, maybe to Naresh. See, you're one of the early birds in absorbing whatever BBP's ecosystem gives, right? If I may have the liberty to say that. So, what do you think, or what features or products you think what BBPS offered has helped you in going faster? And if this should have been built by you on your own versus leveraging it, how was it helpful? So can you brief a bit more about that?
Sure. Um, Thanks for calling us the early bird. Um, we actually pride in trying to, adopt technology as quickly as possible and make it, a point of convenience for our customers if we can. Um, so, if you look at our digital footprint, the last time we published these numbers, um, these are not small numbers by any scale. We have 1.1 million mobile downloads, and roughly about 3.5 million transactions in a month, digital transactions that our customers do in a month. But compared to the number of transactions that are happening on the ecosystem, that's where the scale is. So while we had our own infra, it was sensible for us, we thought, to go where the customers were. And that is where we were able to leverage the BBPS ecosystem. The So, like you said, while you have your own, um, you know, digital footprint for customers to make the payments, etc. The scale when it comes to the likes of BBPS and all the partners that are embedded in the ecosystem, it's multifold, and which is precisely why we are a part of that network.
Sure. Thanks, Naresh. Again, that's one of the reasons why even within BBPS ecosystem, we are trying to innovate and bring in more products. I think we saw a couple of launches today itself, BPMS and cross borders and whatnot, right? So we are trying to add more and more features into the ecosystem, and that can be leveraged across as well. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So now that we heard from the builder side on how things are happening, maybe to Anuji. So how do you think from the customer convenience perspective, right? Using your own platform versus leveraging third parties helping. Again, contextual to the BBPS ecosystem as well.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think at a very basic level, you are fulfilling like a very fundamental payment need. I want to be able to pay my bills simply in a more convenient way. I want to be able to pay all my bills through my preferred app. I also want to make sure that my payments go through, that I have proof of that payment, that I can access that payment whenever I want. And to me, a platform like BBPS has allowed us to scale up that convenience for customers across a very large selection. And that speed of scale up and the width and scale of that you've been able to allow us to get has helped us serve customers better. Because fundamentally what they want is, I want to pay my bill, I want to have proof of that bill, I don't want to remember whether I paid it or not, I want to be reminded of it. And we can offer a lot of these services, the whole suite, because you are powering the entire ecosystem behind. You're also engaging with a large set of billers, you're enabling the biller to be connected to us, and that helps. While I believe that the ecosystem will be made up of both sides, billers as well as third-party payment apps, I still believe that maybe the technology advancement that we will make, because we learn from everyone, will make the payment more advanced and more convenient for the customer. And once they get used to that, it will become more trusted as well. So we appreciate the reach that you give us. The more billers you bring on board, the more convenient it becomes for our customers.
Sure. If I hear you right, you want to leverage using the billers getting integrated, but on the customer convenience and experience, you may still want to go with your own platform.
Exactly.
Yeah? Okay. So here comes a challenge for the TSP providers. So maybe if I go to Setu, Sahil, what do you think? I think you heard from the biller side as well as from the customer side, right? So more or less people are thinking about leveraging more of third party, especially the technology solutions. So do you think we'll be able to standardize the technology offerings to each of the ecosystem partners and leverage or get the fullest leverage, right? So
yeah,
what do you think?
I think that's certainly the future. I do think that, if I may level a few, since we've been all praises all throughout this panel, I think time has come to level a few valid criticisms.
Sure.
One being that, if it's so beneficial, then billers should be willing to pay a little bit more. Right now, it is a game of pennies, and pennies, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So that's one very important thing that I would share as feedback with all the billers, saying that if the savings have been that significant, then the encouragement has to be given to people who are in the ecosystem to pass back some of that benefit, so that people can innovate further. It's not just rent seeking that we're looking for. And the feedback again goes to BBPS itself, saying that the pricing guidance that is given needs to have a little bit more free market forces, and that needs to be allowed to be. If you put a rate card like IRCTC does, then there's only that much that you can charge. right? So that's the second feedback that I would say. The third is, I think there is tremendous scope for innovating on customer experience, specifically around identifiers. The problem currently is that, when you're working across 12 different categories, in education it's somebody's roll number and date of birth. In electricity itself, somebody calls it RR number, somebody calls it customer ID number, somebody calls it something else. uh, Loan providers will use loan account number or customer ID or some combination of the two along with the date of birth or PAN or this thing. I, UPI, I can't hear myself right now, but UPI took off the way it did because of a simple hack that a lot of apps kind of used, which is send money to a phone number. Even though that the messaging system was quite different, and you could craft all kinds of addresses. Eventually, they were just like Google Pay pe mera number dal do, and then you make a payment. And so that is something that I think I've been encouraging the team at BBPS to incorporate, where you're able to just put in your phone number and get all your bills. And I think really, we claim that we are 70% literacy in this country. I think that number is questionable. But if 70% is our literacy rate, our digital literacy rate is significantly lower. And so putting cognitive load on the consumer is not going to give you the kind of coverage that you want. Ideally, you want people to just come and say, here's my number, give me all the bills that I have, right? And ideally, I mean, for those of us who value convenience, the bill should be fetched and paid and done with without even having to think about it. And so, there is tremendous possibility to standardize all of this stuff. It requires everyone to come together, as all difficult things do, cannot be done alone. But the BBPS has already done a lot of the foundational hard work of standardizing how to fetch a bill, how to pay a bill, how to settle a bill. So all of that is well taken care of, and if implemented well by TSPs such as us, it should result in the kind of experiences that all the billers and apps here have experienced so far. But the next stage is going to take some of the things that I mentioned, and it's going to take a little bit of commercial incentive as well. So, but it certainly can be done.
Sure, well said. So, 3 points maybe I'll take from here, right, or highlight. One, of course, the foundational components are built for the ecosystem to standardize things, and from here on, it's just a takeoff or a launch pad for us, right? And there are room to innovate. I think we definitely need to look at it as an ecosystem. We are all the partners, right? So we'll have to think about what more innovations we can do. Is it like adding value to the customers, just like how you said, right? Put in a mobile number, fetch all the bills, and make a payment and whatnot, right? So we'll have to make a lot of progress on that. Of course, the cost also comes along with that, right? How much innovation versus how much you want to spend on your OPEX versus CAPEX kind of, right? So I think as an ecosystem partner, we can probably discuss and see how we can move forward on that. Yeah. Thank you. But one positive thing I'm taking and probably giving it back to all the other partners, it can be standardized is what we are hearing.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right. And we will be thinking about innovating more and giving it back to the
We're
ecosystem
obsessed
as well.
over this, so we'll make it happen.
Thank you. So that's kind of what about third party versus own platforms, right? More or less, people are leaning towards third party, I would say, because it's giving more benefits in growing faster and whatnot, right? So with that, now a slightly a lighter thing we wanted to do, wanted to have a quick fire questions to each one of you. Just a one-word answer. Don't have to think too much. Just what comes to your mind you may need to share. Just to make it a bit lighter, yeah? Nothing more. So maybe I'll go in the same order. Maybe if I may start with you. What is the one thing that you like most in BBPS ecosystem?
I would say boundaryless for, yeah.
Okay. boundaryless. Okay. Great. Maybe if I may ask Lokesh ji, which COU or channel do you use most for the bill payments?
Actually, it's most of the channels I use, so it's difficult to name a particular.
Hope I have not put you on the spot. Okay. To Naresh, which other player you think is leveraging BBPS ecosystem to the fullest, other than you?
The fact that I'm struggling possibly says that, I place ourselves quite high on that list.
So yes, other than you. Okay. Okay, I'll then move on. So, which other roles do you think you can play in the BBPS ecosystem right now, other than the role that you are playing now? Yeah.
I think we can challenge you more.
Uh-huh.
We can be more demanding, and I like what you were saying. I think there are clear, and we had this conversation even in your office, right? You should give us more feedback, and we should give you more feedback.
Yeah.
It'll make us better as an ecosystem. Today the things that I see as differentiators, I think will become parity as you start investing in what you're talking about, and then I'll need another differentiator, which again you will have to provide me as an ecosystem. So I think we definitely must challenge ourselves more. And if it means that we have to help you, find the priorities of investment, then we would love to do that. I think that's a role that we can definitely play.
Absolutely. I thought that role we are already playing.
More.
All right. Okay. To Sahil, maybe I'm trying to put you on the spot.
Please, sir, I enjoyed the spot.
Which other third-party solution or platform other than yours that you like most that's being
I
used in
have
ecosystem?
tremendous respect for BillDesk. It's no joke to build a company like that over 21, 22 years. And I'm fortunate to have Ajay Kaushal as a mentor that I can consider a mentor. I consider Ajay Kaushal a mentor. I think BillDesk is a phenomenal company. They've created tremendous value. Massive respect for them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for being so candid. Yeah, that brings the closure of the third section. The last one, maybe we'll go with the closing remarks around the table. Yeah. Probably, if I may ask, right, to share what is that one expectation you have from the ecosystem partners, right, other than you, and what is that one thing you think you can offer more to the ecosystem? That's number 2. And what would be your tips to the budding players who wants to come into the ecosystem? Yeah, if I may ask you to give the answers maybe around the table in the same order. Maybe if I may start with you.
I'll take the last one.
Sure.
I think we're fine now.
Yeah.
You said what is the advice that you would want to give other budding
Billers?
Billers.
Yeah.
I think I would advise billers to really experience what third-party platforms have to offer. Because other than really giving customer convenience, making it scalable and all of the other things that we spoke of today, I think there's a lot of learning that's coming out of all of these, experiences that we see customers having. So I would say if you've already onboarded, great. Take it to the next level, market more, increase adoption. And if you haven't integrated, please integrate.
Sure. Thank you. Again, with that, I just wanted to point out as well, right? So, we being the prominent players from a biller perspective, we should also find ways on how to create this awareness that can be spread to the other billers so that we can attract more of them into the system as well. Thank you. Thanks for sharing
Yeah.
that. Lokesh, if I may ask you to answer any of those 3 questions, please.
So, in our own platform, we have the facility of payment status updation in real time. So if in the ecosystem, from the utility point of view, if I may suggest that if we can work on this real-time settlement, which can happen because right now it's happening in T+2. So that will help us because in certain cases, especially like the disconnections and penalty imposition, it will really help the consumers also, and at the same time, we'll be able to provide better services to our consumers. And for the budding platforms, I think one important aspect is the communication. So most of the time, if you see on any site, like our platform site is not working, it's very, very irritating. So if we can have a effective communication backbone, which is having adequate redundancy,
Right.
so it will enhance the customer's experience and it will be more convenient to them.
Sure. Very valid points. Communication and real-time settlement. Thank you. Yeah, Naresh.
So I think there is a tremendous amount of innovation that's already happening in this space, and we are just glad to be a part of the ecosystem. That's the first part. And for our customers, one of the things that's very important for them is when they buy an insurance policy, it's a promise they make to themselves and their families, right? And they really don't need that hassle of having to remember their due dates and make the payments. So instructions, parking standing instructions and letting the transaction just happen is something that's important to them. And we also see something happening in that area, and we are glad that is also happening. So, like I said, there is a tremendous amount of innovation happening, and we are just happy to be a part of it.
Sure. Thanks, Naresh. UPMS is on its way. So for us to solve the
Precisely,
problem.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, please.
I would say that we're all on this journey to make India more digital, and payments is probably a part of it. And actually, payments is causing the revolution almost ahead of everything else. Maybe the only other thing that would have done it is mobility or mobile phones, and then to a certain extent, networking. I think that the role that we have to play as an ecosystem is to accelerate that, is to educate people. And you were talking about literacy. I think it could be literacy, but it could just be convenience. It could just be ease of use. And sometimes you don't have to say anything if it's intuitive. So how can we work together to make that interface with the average Indian? Let's not even call them literate or illiterate, but anyone who has very high value for their money, how do we make them feel trusted and safe in our ecosystem and make those payments? I think that's something that is very important, and we are doing that already, but we need to do it for a larger ecosystem. We need to fail lesser. We need to make sure that that we can communicate, and I think that's a really important point that was being made, that every time there is a failure that we communicate. So education, communication, and maybe lack of or lower failure is what I would say is really critical, and we should, as an ecosystem, work together on that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I concur with what most of my co-panelists have said. Especially, I think Anuradha summed it up very nicely. The only thing that I would push everyone to do is, be even less satisfied with where we are, and push for more results in shorter time. And particularly on, I agree with you. I think it's with you, Anuradha, when you say that it's not necessarily about literacy in the sense that whether you read it or not, or whether you can interact with the interface or not. In fact, one of the most interesting pieces of insight that I came across recently is speech is overrated as an input feature and underrated as an output feature. And so, Paytm Soundbox kind of did a very interesting demonstration of that. I think if an app can just say आपका बिजली का बिल आ गया है as a loud notification might be, because you see in I think the problem is the people like us who are developing the software are nothing like the masses of people that actually use it. I mean, every time I look at my grandmother's phone, I am alarmed at the number of notifications that are sitting there. It is a mess, and they don't manage the settings. They don't do any of that. I think we can do a lot more on localization. I think we can do a lot more on empathizing with users and how do we deliver these kind of experiences. So, uh, if we truly want to get to which I think is possible, that we can pay 1 billion bills a month in India, then we'll have to work on a lot of things like this to make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for all of you for sharing this. I think conveniently some of you have not taken up the question on what is your tips for the budding TSPs or the customer side of things, right? I'm going to pick again. You may want to give some advice to the budding players.
I'm happy to kind of go with tips for a budding TSP. One is, be prepared for a long battle when it comes to commercials and investing a lot of time in that. That is one for sure. The second is, I think, what I will definitely kind of acknowledge with NPCI and the BBPS team is they're very open to engaging with new players. So the moment you start coming into this ecosystem, engage with Vadi and his team, with Nupur and his team and her team, because I think there is a lot of knowledge and experience there that people can benefit from. And thirdly, I think it's very important to understand the commercial incentives that are at play for different pillars and different apps, and how and why they are that way. Not just knowing the rates, which is fine, but I think understanding the reasons behind those rates and what drives, what will lead to a biller deciding to pay a little bit more. I mean, like more real-time settlements, like Mr. Lokesh said, or how do you add more value to a COU, which will cause an app like Amazon Pay to say, you know what, I want your stack. I think those are relevant questions to ask for someone looking to get into the TSP business.
Sure. Thank you.
Oversimplifying it a bit, but keep the customer in the center, because very often we start serving our needs before the customer's needs, and that can be challenging. And I would say the second thing is don't launch with a broken experience, because very often we're in a hurry to get to market but I don't think customers give you too many second chances, not in today's world. So make sure the technology works, is simple, is intuitive. And that's why I'm saying it's maybe oversimplifying it a bit, but many people rush into a customer experience which is not seamless. And then it doesn't work, and then the customer doesn't come back, and then we ask ourselves why. And usually the answer is something very simple.
Sure. Thank you, Anu. That's all we really have actually for today. So basically, just to sum it up, right? So we discussed about own platform as a third party. Most of the panelists are discussing about having third party and how it is beneficial and how it is really helping to grow things faster and make it scalable, right? Of course, there are benefits in having own platforms as well, as Anu was mentioning, to give the right level of customer experience. That also is going to play a bigger part, right? So as an ecosystem, I think we are in the right track. Foundations are all laid and more innovations to come. And we are going to leverage more and more third-party platforms to make things even more bigger for BBPS. So that's where we stand at this point in time. With that, maybe that comes the closure for this panel discussion. Thank you once again for all the panelists for being so patiently answering all the questions. Thank you so very much.